and we're ready to ride now. No more wasting time. Another hot day out here. Life is good. This Native American crafts market is insane. So down in Sedona, if you want to pick up some Navajo pearls, which I have a really gorgeous necklace. It's my favorite one. It's Navajo pearls. They're thousands of dollars in Sedona. You know, you come out here, you don't know any better. You're at these fancy shops, so you buy it. But that market I just left had a huge, gorgeous, chunky Navajo pearl necklace for $950. That thing would have cost $3,500 in Sedona. Tights, so I got normal jeans on, and these Pando tights got the knee pads and the hip pads and anti-abrasion on the road. Pretty dope for hot days. Today will be a fun talk. Some experiences I had when I was hiding myself in my existential years, where I floated through life like a zombie. I was not my authentic self. I was not in the room present with you guys. I was miles away. Meeting I had with a shaman, a pivotal point in my life that changed my entire trajectory and gave me the inner peace that I needed. So in the crash, you know, I was in my early 20s. Still feeling like a victim from growing up homeless, all the things I learned about myself in the foster system. You know, you learn, kids in the foster system learn real quick that they're alone. They learn that they're worthless, that their time doesn't mean anything, that their ideas aren't worthy, that their dreams are too big. One-way trip to prison. You learn a lot. This is because I became a foster, you know, as a preteen. Obviously, when somebody adopts a newborn baby, it's a little bit different, but so I went through a few things there, and if any of you are going through any of that self-doubt, feeling like your dreams are too big, or you're not worthy of the life that you really want, or your ideas don't matter, no one's going to support you, all that, however you got yours, you know, it's all the same. had no stress other than midterms, and I was very much alone in that town, searching for some kind of empathy, but people can't relate to you when they can't relate, so there's no empathy. And I remember sitting in the classroom, you wouldn't know, and this is what I'm getting at, is how I was a million miles away. What you would see is another one of you. I'd be in class, I'd be flirting with girls, I'd be laughing at the jokes, I'd, have my banter with the teacher to show the class that I'm smart and I'm witty and I'm not afraid to confront an argument even with a professor, and doing all those things. Meanwhile, in my head, I'm clawing at myself, crying inside, angry, wanting to punch holes in the wall, binge drinking every single night, judging all the kids around me, complaining about their midterms when I haven't eaten in 3 days, as if it's their fault. That blame is so natural. It's so natural when you're suffering and the person next to you isn't, to somehow judge them for not suffering with you. It's twisted. It's the natural direction that we go, though, because that's where I went with no training and no coaching. When you're in conflict with yourself, when you're not expressing your inner voice and you're not living up to your inner feelings, there's this conflict inside you that starts to spin like a tornado. I confided in my best friend once. He asked me how I was doing, and I told him, I was like, I feel like there's this caged animal inside me, like this angry beast. He's like clawing at my insides because my anxiety was so bad. It really felt like that. So in the middle of my breakdown, I'm like completely losing my shit after a couple years. You can only run from your authentic self for so long before the panic starts to set in. And obviously I was surviving from medication. I got super lucky. Got rear-ended in high school, and I was so desperate for opiates and Xanaxes that I pretended like I had a really bad back injury, even though I was fine. And I would go to the doctor and complain about how much pain I'm in. And I would get Vicodins. I'd get 90 Vicodins a month. And then I told him that the Vicodins were making it hard for me to sleep at night and hard for me to eat. And I was getting constipated, all these fun things that I would say in order to get Xanax. There somewhere. I think that lady in the Jaguar slowed him down a little bit. But I think I mentioned before on other videos that it's really important when you're riding with somebody that you always keep them in your rearview mirror. Especially right now while I'm filming. He's not on my Cardo Pack Talk. I normally have my Pack Talk on. I'm going to slow down. unwritten, unspoken rules of the road. You know, I could see that single headlight back there. I survived as long as I did is because I had free opiates. You know, when you're a ward of the court, you're on that state's insurance, and I was blessed. The thing is I didn't see my blessings, and I talked about that in another video as well. I did not pay for college. I was going to one of the best universities in the state. Cal Poly San Luis Obispo is a great school, and I had to pay my rent. I had to buy my books, but when I registered for classes, tuition, and you pay for your tuition and you pay for your credits, and they were free for me. So that was a blessing that I couldn't quite see because I was so busy living in my own sorrow. But over time, the Vicodins and the Xanaxes and the lies, it all just caught up to me. And in a panic, I needed somebody. My father had been in prison my whole life, and he's very institutionalized. He's not somebody that you can confide in. He's got his own troubles. Is very much the same way. But a friend of my mom and dad's, a man who had been consistent in my life for a long time, in a panic, I just thought to reach out to him. And so this is a guy, just to give you a visual, he's like this old white guy, long gray hair halfway down his back that he wears in a ponytail. He's got all kinds of expensive Navajo jewelry on. He smells like patchouli oil, and he's wearing skinny jeans with cowboy boots. And he owns multiple businesses on the Virginia Beach Strip, a haunted mansion, a time travel place, all kinds of fun stuff. But he's extremely spiritual. He's been on several shamanic journeys. He's just very grounded. His energy is peaceful. So, and this is, 25 years ago. I reached out to him in a panic, and I'm like, hey, I'm losing my shit here. Like, I'm having trouble focusing in class. I want to fight everybody. I have urges to drive my car into a telephone pole. The anxiety is so strong that I'm literally having panic attacks because I'm afraid that it's never going to go away. The depression is getting deeper and deeper. I mean, my early 20s it was a grapple, and I hope that none of you are going through that, but if you are, I'm hoping that this conversation helps you relate and helps you find some tools. So, he gives me this lecture, and he's like, what's the weather like out there? And so I've done a lot of studying, and some of this stuff might seem cliche these days. 25 years ago, this was a profound conversation for me. These days, with social media and stuff, I don't really know what you guys hear, but I'm like, the weather's good. He's like, how's the sky look? I was like, it's good. It's a blue sky with clouds passing by. He's like, oh, that's perfect. He's like, okay, so take a moment. I'm paraphrasing a lot here, but he was like, take a moment, and just while you have me on the phone, don't say anything. I'll do the talking. Just sit back and take a few deep breaths and get comfortable and just look up at those clouds. And so I do. something that's bothering you, something that's heavy on your mind, that you're repeating in your brain a lot. And I want you to assign it to one of those clouds. And so I look at a cloud and I assign it one of my problems. You know, I have no money, I can't eat, I'm starving half the time, it's hard to do my homework, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm assigning all these issues, and he's like, okay, I want you to release that emotion to that cloud. Just give it to that cloud. And then he had me sit, and he's like, now see how that cloud just continues to flow by. How you can't grab a hold of it, you can't keep it for yourself. The cloud just flows by, and it goes. And he's like, that's what you need to do with your emotions, is treat your emotions like that cloud. Just let it go by and don't try to grab onto it. He's like, now go ahead and assign another one of your emotions to the other cloud. So I go through this process. He's on the phone with me for like an hour. This is a guided meditation. I think you guys will survive on the cliff notes. So we do this guided meditation, and when it's over, I feel fucking amazing. The anxiety was gone. And he's like, I want you to internalize this visualization, and anytime your brain comes up with a problem or something that's stressing you out, that's affecting your well-being, I want you to assign it to a cloud in your mind and let it float out of your thoughts. Just let it go, and don't grab onto it, don't hang on to it. Live in the eternal now, in this present moment, and just own this moment, and nothing else matters. And that was really the bulk of the conversation. And then he wanted me to have a daily practice of going into a field. It has to be outside, so you can get grounding in. He wanted me to go to a field and sit on the ground, not on a bench, or on a bench with my shoes off and my feet on the ground. And he wanted me to close my eyes and just sit there and listen with my ears and try to visualize the world around me by using only my ears. For a half an hour at a time. And there was a spot by the river I would go sit, and so I would sit Indian style in this grass field by the river, and I'd start by listening to the water trickling over the rocks, and then I'd start picking up on birds chirping, and then I'd start picking up on squirrels running around, then I'd pick up on, you know, some critter rustling in the leaves. When you first start the process, and I've mentioned this in another video as well, when you first start this process, you don't hear much. And then after 5 minutes, you start hearing more and more. And after 25 minutes, your ears are high definition. You're hearing everything, and you can visualize it and see it. And what this does is this puts you in the present moment, and it brings you to right now where you're in peace. Because anything that disrupts your peace is you dwelling on the past or you worrying about the future. Because right here and now, everything is okay. And what happened has come to pass, and what hasn't happened is just your imagination. So that was a really beautiful exercise. And I think from that day, my anxiety went away and never came back. Because even if I felt like it might want to come back, I would go to a field and do that silence meditation, just listening. And it would stabilize my nervous system to a point where I no longer felt attached to these emotions. And the cloud in the sky, I mean, that and all these things. And I stole a car once with my best friend, and then a car chase with the police came and she died. And like, there's all these things that I was festering on, and I didn't deserve a good life, and I deserved to be punished, and I was allowing guilt to control me. And it's all bullshit. No matter what, you're here to live a peaceful, beautiful life. Anything outside of that is noise. Anything that your brain is trying to create for you is noise. Our souls are billions of years old. We're eternal. An 80-year life with your brain is an infancy. It's the blink of an eye in eternity. And so think about how your brain, how immature your brain is. It's a crying infant baby. Even when you're 80 years old, it's a baby. You're still going to get triggered. You're going to allow people to affect you and upset you. You're going to let the outside world disrupt your emotions. This is all your baby mind, your Tanal, affecting you. And when you tap into that silence, you're tapping into that infinite you that's not affected by these simple life experiences. And the more you tap into it, the more peaceful you become inside, and the more you can focus. And so I went back to college, still poor, still not eating, still had severe migraines from the malnutrition, had a lot of issues. But I would find that peace, and it would work. It would get the anxiety out of my chest. It would get the judgment out of my heart. It would get the jealousy out. I've got this green-eyed eye of Horus on my arm because I had to battle the green-eyed monster for so many years, which was something I read in a Shakespeare play. The green-eyed monster is Indian jealousy. I carried a lot of the Indian jealousy with me for no reason, because a lot of people had tangible items, but I had strength, resilience, I had intuition, street smarts, and intellect. I had so many things that they didn't have, and I didn't see it. And so I ask you to look at yourself, to find that peace and that silence, and think about what's affecting you in this world, and assign that to a cloud, and let that cloud pass you by. That's it for the lecture, you guys. I really enjoyed sharing that. I have a lot more anecdotes and a lot more good things for you guys. The problems that I dealt with emotionally followed me into my first business as well. It didn't just go away from these meditations. There's different levels of growth. I think the first level that I needed was to get rid of the panic attacks and the depression and learn to find my center. And so this was sort of that first step. Many, 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 many steps to come to really get into you living the most powerful version of yourself and walk through this world as a warrior, a true warrior, unaffected by the outside world. So we'll get into that stuff later, but if you are listening to this still, you have all my love and respect. I appreciate you more than you know. I'm here for you, even if it's just one of you. Whoever listens to this and it's really resonating, I'm sitting right next to you right now, sharing my energy with you, and I hope it's helping. So get out there and do good things. Be good. Help people when you can. And if you're listening to this,